We are building the city of the future, a landmark development twice the size of Manhattan. Originally developed by the Americans for its secure and strategic location in Asia Pacific, Clark is being transformed into a disaster-resilient metropolis that will be competitive and attractive to a global market. It will consist of 4 main districts. The Clark Freeport Zone, an existing mixed-use complex established in the 90s. Clark Global City, which will serve as the primary business district. And New Clark City, which will house satellite government offices and a first-class sports village. Central to all of this is Clark International Airport, which will soon be expanded to accommodate up to 80 million passengers a year. This ensures that travel will be comfortable while trade is seamless. A city unmatched in connectivity, with access to world-class highways and the service of high-speed railways, connecting north to south and east to west, across surrounding seas and over oceans. Clark is a city built as living proof that business in this part of the world is not only easy, but simply better. With no red tape, lower taxes, and
good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Please settle down. We will start the program. Again, may we request our media friends joining online to send in their questions through the Q&A button so our moderator can read and direct them to our panelists. Thank you.
Good morning to our distinguished guests and friends from the media who are here with us today, on-site and online. At higit sa lahat, magandang umaga po mga kababayang Pilipino. Welcome to the press conference on the progress update of the Build, Build, Build program. I am Ana May Lamentillo and I will be your host today. Here with us at the Estrella Pantaleon Bridge, our Presidential Advisor for Flagship Projects and Programs and Bases Conversion and Development Authority.
This meeting is being recorded.
Department of Transportation Secretary Arthur Togade, and Department of Public Works and Highways Secretary Mark Villar. Joining us later via Zoom for the media Q&A is National Economic and Development Authority Secretary Carl Kendrick Chua. May I request our friends from the media joining us online to send their questions via the Q&A button. Build, Build, Build is the Duterte administration's ambitious infrastructure development plan, which promises to usher in the golden age of infrastructure in the country. As part of the administration's 10-point socio-economic agenda, it is envisioned to create infrastructure to reduce poverty, increase the productive capacity of the economy, generate jobs, raise incomes, and strengthen the investment climate, leading to sustainable and inclusive growth. Without further ado, let's call on Secretary Vince Dizon to give us an overview of the Build, Build, Build program, its progress, and what it has accomplished. Secretary Dizon.
Thank you very much. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Good morning to everyone who is here. In particular, I just want to greet the two stalwarts of the Build, Build, Build program. The two gentlemen who have really made Build, Build, Build happen despite all the challenges and despite all of the, I should say, unfair criticism that they have received. They have journeyed on under the instructions of our president and under the guidance of the president. And today we are witness to an unprecedented infrastructure program that will move on in administrations and generations to come. Secretary Mark Villar of DPWH, sir, maraming salamat sa iyong serbisyo, sa iyong sakripisyo, at maraming salamat sa dami ng tulay, dami ng bagong kalye, dami ng iba't ibang infrastruktura, flood control, evacuation centers na tinayo mo sa loob lamang ng 5 taon. Congratulations po, Secretary Villar. Kay Secretary Art Tugade, maraming salamat. Alam ko, Sec Art, nangayayat ka na, nagkasakit ka na, sa dami ng hirap. Alam ko, minsan hindi ka na rin kinakausap ng iyong may bahay dahil hindi ka na niya nakikita. Pero despite all the challenges, si Sec Art po hindi tumigil. Despite all the unfair criticisms na natanggap niya, hindi siya tumigil. Ang ginawa lang niya, tinabi niya lahat ng mga naririnig niya sa social media, sa media. Ang ginawa na lang niya, simple lang, magtrabaho lang ng magtrabaho. At dahil doon, mamaya makikita nyo ang mga bagong airport, mga bagong seaport, mga bagong railway, at iba't iba pang mga infrastruktura na pinabuti ang pang-araw-araw na pamumuhay ng ating mga kababayan. Sec Art, maraming salamat po sa iyong sakripisyo at serbisyo. I'm here today just to give you an overview of what we have achieved in the past 5 years. When Build started, Secretary Villar, Secretary Tugade, and myself, and the entire economic team were guided by one simple principle. And this is what the President himself told us. Sec Art, Sec Mark, Sec Vince, Sec Carl, who is also joining us, simple lang ang gusto ko. Pagandahin nyo naman at paginhawain nyo naman ng kahit konti lang ang pang-araw-araw na pamumuhay ng ating mga kababayan. Our people have suffered long enough. They've suffered for too long from the lack of infrastructure, which results in the daily hardships that they go through. From the time that they wake up in the morning, they go to work, and they go home to their families. Kalbaryo po ang dinadaanan ng ating mga kababayan. At yun lang po ang sinabi ng ating mahal na Pangulo. Make the lives of Filipinos more comfortable, kahit konti lang. And that is what we have tried to do. And we are very happy to report that despite all the challenges, including this once-in-a-century pandemic that has wreaked havoc throughout the entire world, including our own country, we have achieved so much, and we will continue to achieve more in the future and in the coming months and the coming years. So, if we can show the few slides. So this is the progress update on the Build. We decided to hold it here because we wanted to show you real progress, not something that is on paper, not something that is just a plan, but real, actual progress. And dito nyo makikita, itong bridge na ito ay pinalawak ni Secretary Villar, and nagpapasalamat tayo sa People's Republic of China. This is a grant from China that was generously given to the Philippine government. Thank you very much. Our partners are here from CRBC. Thank you very much to all of you. But this is practically completed. Konting-konti na lang, kitang-kita nyo naman. And according to Sec Villar, this will open in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, tapos na po ito. Dati po, isang lane lang po ito. Napakasikip. No, magmula 4 lanes, sa Rockwell, sa Estrella, nagfa-funnel, sumisikip, nagiging 1 lane. Ako po ay nakatira sa San Juan dati. No, dito po ako dumadaan para magtrabaho araw-araw. At napaka-traffic po dito. Dahil nga, yung 4 lanes, nagiging 2 lanes. Ngayon po, 4 lanes na rin sa Mandaluyong. At ginawa lang po ito ni Secretary Villar sa tulong ng ating Pangulo, I think in less than 2 years. Tapos po ito. No, at matatapos na po ito in 2 weeks at matutulungan na po ang ating mga kababayan. So this is the progress update for Build. And as you can see, no, if you look at 2001 to 2010 infrastructure spending, on average per year, 100 billion, equivalent to 1.6% of GDP lang po yan. Come Duterte administration, 2017 to 2019, umabot na po tayo per year, almost 1 trillion pesos from 100 billion only in 2001 to 2010. At umabot na po tayo ng 6%. Nag-deliver po ang Duterte administration at wala pong makakakontra dyan, wala pong makakadispute dyan dahil lahat po na pinapakita nating numero dito ay totoo. Those are facts and they are incontrovertible, they are undisputable. Pero alam niyo naman ang nangyari sa atin last year. Tinamaan po tayo ng once in a century pandemic. Ang buong mundo po, talagang nagulat, hindi alam ang gagawin. Pero nakita niyo naman po, 2020, under the leadership of Secretary Villar and Secretary Tugade, we still hit, actual po yan, hindi po yan drawing, actual po yan, 869 billion pesos pa rin po ang nagasta ng ating pamahalaan sa infrastructure despite COVID-19. At dahan-dahan po tayong babangon, dahan-dahan po tayong aangat dahil po sa hirap at trabaho ng Build team sa pamumuno ni Secretary Villar at Secretary Tugade. Next slide, please. Ang Build po ay napakalaking programa. No? At ito po, pinapakita namin sa inyo, didetalye ni Secretary Villar at ni Secretary Tugade mamaya, ang nagawa na. Completed po yan lahat. In 5 years, 212 airport projects, 446 seaport projects, both commercial and tourism ports. 10,376 flood mitigation structures have been completed. 26,494 kilometers of roads and 5,555 kilometers of bridges have been completed. Ganyan po kalaki at kalawak ang build. So yung pong minsan sinasabi nila na yung infrastructure flagship program po natin, yun po ay kaparte lang ng overall build program. At yun po ay papakita sa inyo ngayon ni Secretary Villar at Secretary Tugade. Next slide, please. Ongoing po. Hindi po tayo kontento dun sa dinami-daming mga nagawa na, nakakomplete na. Ongoing, 102 more projects sa airports, 117 more seaport projects, 1,090 more kilometers of railway, 2,587 flood mitigation structures, 2,515 kilometers of roads, and 1,020 more kilometers of bridges are ongoing. Tuloy-tuloy po yan. And sana po, alam niyo naman, 1 taon na lang ang natitira. Wala nang 1 taon ang natitira sa Duterte administration. Kaya din po namin pinapakita sa ating mga kababayan is hinihiling po namin kung sino man po ang magiging susunod na Pangulo at susunod na administrasyon. I think it is incumbent upon the next administration to not only continue but to even fast track all the good work that has been done under the leadership of President Duterte and Secretary Villar and Secretary Tugade. Next slide, please. Kasama po dito, ito po sa BCDA lang at sa DOTr, tapos na po ang Clark International Airport. Ito po ay magiging, quarter 3 po yan. No? Next month po ay tapos na yan. I-inaugurate po yan ng July. Alam niyo naman po, ang susunod, yung New Clark City Phase 1, tapos na rin po yan, 2019, tapos na rin po yan. Kompleto na rin po ang BCDA project with DICT, yung Luzon Bypass Infrastructure Project na project ng BCDA, DICT at Facebook. Tapos na po lahat yan. Kasama po yan sa mga completed na proyekto. At titignan na lang po natin ngayon ang ating infrastructure projects, infrastructure flagship projects, sorry. Out of the now 119 total projects, 11 are already completed, fully completed. 29 will be completed before the end of 2022. So before the end of 2022, already 40 out of the 100 plus projects are already completed. There will be about 51 ongoing projects to be completed 2023 and beyond, mostly between 2023 and 2025. These are huge projects such as the Manila-Clark Railway, the subway, other airports that will be completed during that time. And ito po, napaka-importante lang po, yung ating mga pipeline projects. Ano po itong mga pipeline projects na ito? Alam niyo po, nung pumasok po ang Duterte administration, noong 2016, halos wala pong project na ready na para i-implement na lang po at simulan ni Secretary Villar at ni Secretary Tugade. There were very, very few projects in the pipeline. Come 2022, when there is a turnover in the next administration, there will be a total of 28 big ticket flagship projects that will be ready to go for the next administration to fast track and continue. That is a legacy that will be left by the Duterte administration, by President Duterte, by Secretary Villar, and Secretary Tugade. Not only will they be leaving a legacy of completed projects by the time President Duterte ends in 2022, but they will also be leaving behind a legacy of projects, big ticket projects that are ready to go. Big ticket projects such as the Bataan-Cavite Link Bridge, whom many thought would never ever happen. But Secretary Villar will tell you, it will happen. So ang huli ko na lang po, nahihiling yan sa ating mga kababayan. Unang-una po, ang inyong pasensya. Dahil po, alam nyo naman sa infrastructure, may konting discomfort habang gumagawa ng proyekto. Kamukha po dito sa ginagawang ito. Malaki po ang naging discomfort dito para sa mga nakatira sa Rockwell, sa Mandaluyong side. Malaki po ang nagiging discomfort dun sa mga dami-daming riles na ginagawa ni Secretary Tugade. Pero po pag natapos po yan, napakalaki naman pong ginhawa ang maibibigay sa ating mga kababayan. Kaya po ulitin ko po sana ang aking hiling sa ating mga kababayan. Si Secretary Villar po at si Secretary Tugade, pinakita po nila na despite the challenges, wala pong ginawa itong dalawang kaibigan kong ito kundi magtrabaho. Tinanggap na po nila lahat ng batikos. Pero tingin ko po, dahil sa dinami-dami ng kanilang ipinakitang proyekto na completed, ongoing, at ipapasa pa nila sa susunod na administrasyon na ready to go na projects, tingin ko po, kailangan pa natin sila. Kailangan pa ng Pilipinas, ng ating mga kababayan, ang isang Mark Villar at isang Art Tugade na magserbisyo pa. Kaya sana po makumbinsi sila na ituloy-tuloy po ang kanilang serbisyo. Kahit saan po sa gobyerno, kung saan man sa gobyerno sila mapadpad, kailangan po natin ang isang Mark Villar at Secretary Art Tugade na tumuloy-tuloy ang serbisyo para sa ating mga kababayan. Maraming salamat po sa inyo lahat.
Thank you very much, Secretary Dizon. Now to present the progress of Build projects under the Department of Public Works and Highways, let's welcome the Chairman of the Cabinet's Infrastructure Cluster, DPWH Secretary Mark Villar.
Magandang umaga po. Salamat, Sec Vince, sa yung presentation. At of course, ang aking mga partner, si Sec Vince at si Sec Art Tugade, talagang nakikita ko na napakasipag, napakagaling magtrabaho at napakalaki ng contribution nila sa ating gobyerno. Nagpapasalamat ako. Sec Art, Sec Vince, my partners, it's been a malaking karangalan para sa akin na maging kapartner ninyo dito sa ating Build. So thank you. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you both for doing so much and helping so much in this program. At sa lahat po ng ating kaibigan, magbibigay po ako ng isang very brief presentation tungkol sa Build para makita nyo lang kung ano yung latest update sa ating mga proyekto dahil medyo medyo patapos na rin ng term ni President Duterte at dapat talaga natin ipakita kung saan napunta ang ating mga taxpayers' dollars at makita din nila kung ano yung output ng ating Build program. So, una po, ito po yung first slide natin. Wala bang slide? Ayun, okay. First slide, please. Yan. So, gusto muna namin ipakita yung kung ano yung sa DPWH, kung ano po yung naging accomplishment namin sa past years at para magkaroon din ng comparison, isang apples to apples comparison sa accomplishments in similar time periods. Makikita nyo po dito from 2011 to 2015, ang total project accomplishment ay 820 billion. Nung umupo si President Duterte, nung nagsimula ang Duterte administration at yung Build program, from 2016 to 2020, ang total accomplishment ay 2.536 billion. So halos times 3 po ang physical accomplishment ng Duterte administration. So masasabi ko po talaga na malayong-malayo po ang accomplishment sa term ni President Duterte sa infrastruktura. At kagaya ng sinabi ni Vince kanina, makikita naman natin sa numero. Makikita naman natin. Kaya gusto namin pakita yung mga numbers. Ito talagang katotohanan dyan. At kahit na natamaan din tayo ng isang once in a generation pandemic, hindi pa rin tumigil ang pagtatrabaho. At makikita nyo naman. So yun ang almost more than times 3 yung accomplishments over similar time period. Next slide, please. At syempre po, ito po yung mga infrastructure programs natin. At gusto ko rin banggitin na makikita niyo po yung traffic decongestion, yung EDSA decongestion program. Bahagi po ito ng EDSA decongestion, yung Estrella Pantaleon Bridge, na tatapusin namin by next month. So next month, madideliver na po itong bridge at ito makakabawas din sa traffic sa EDSA na nagkaroon na ng malaking improvement. So yung rural development, marami po tayong mga local roads na nakakatulong sa ating agrikultura, sa ating industriya, at yun yung pinupondo ng DPWH. Pati yung integrated and seamless transport, ito para sa mga tulong sa ating mga ports, sa mga airports, sa mga logistics, para sa ating ekonomiya. Nag-invest din kami. At syempre po dahil tayo ay isa sa mga pinaka-prone sa mga kalamidad, nag-invest din kami sa mga resilient infrastructures katulad ng mga flood control. Meron din po tayo dito sa Pasig River para lumaki yung capacity ng Pasig River na ongoing project, continuous. So next slide. At importante rin na malaman nyo rin po na ito pong habang ginagawa itong mga proyekto, nakaka-generate po tayo ng maraming trabaho. In fact, from 2016 to 2020, ang Build ay nakapag-generate ng 6.5 million jobs sa ating bansa. Napakarami po. Habang ginagawa yung project, 6.5 million. And ang target pa namin this year is 1.6 million jobs. Kaya napakalaking bagay po habang ginagawa. At pag natapos na po yung project, syempre magkakaroon ng investment, magkakaroon ng mga opportunities ang ating mga kababayan, lalo na po sa mga probinsya dahil magkakaroon na rin ng mga connectivity. So doon natin makikita na malaking effect sa ating ekonomiya ng infrastructure. So umpisa pa lang, habang ginagawa, may trabaho. Pag natapos na po, makaka-generate pa rin ng mas maraming trabaho dahil sa investments. So kanina binanggit ko po in terms of peso value. In terms of absolute numbers, ito po yung accomplishments natin. 10,000, yung sinabi ko po kanina, nag-invest kami sa mga infrastructures para sa calamity mitigation. So, mga 10,376. May mga examples yan, yung later tide embankment, para hindi na maulit yung nangyari sa Yolanda. At the same time, kalsada na rin. At tourism destination. Ito yung mga pumping stations dito sa Manila. Kaya hindi naman kakabaha, nakakonect sila sa mga drainage systems para mas mabilis ang paglabas ng tubig. So 10,376 nationwide natapos po. And of course, sa ating mga kalsada, 26,494 kilometers of worth of road. And some of these roads, makikita nyo naman po, yung Laguna Lake Highway, ang natapos na po, the first highway in Metro Manila na may independent bike lane. So makikita nyo po doon, nakikita nyo po yung bike lane sa Laguna Lake Highway, started and finished sa term under the Duterte administration. Pati yung Sorsogon City Coastal, hindi lang po sa Metro Manila, hanggang Region 5 sa Bicol, meron po tayong Sorsogon City Coastal Bypass Road. Kanina kahapon, the other day, galing po ako sa Albay at in-inaugurate ko yung Kamalig Bypass Road. So marami po talaga, hindi sa buong bansa. 5,555 bridges. Nakita mo yung examples, Anduyan Bridge, Pigalo Bridge. Unprecedented number of bridges have been built. Next slide, please. At isa pa, yung evacuation centers natin. Isa po sa mga programa ni Presidente ang pagtatayo ng mga evacuation centers sa buong bansa. So ito po ay nakakalat sa buong Pilipinas para hindi na po gamitin ng mga eskwelahan bilang evacuation center. At marami na po natapos. At sa ngayon, karamihan po ng mga evacuation centers ay ginagamit para sa COVID quarantine. Kaya ni Presidente, 220 natapos na, marami pang naka-pipeline. In terms of classrooms, 144,925. Napakalaki ang investment natin sa edukasyon. Makikita nyo naman po yung mga examples ng ating mga school buildings para tumaas naman ng ratio, para gumanda ang ratio ng student to classroom. So isa yan sa mga in-improve natin sa Build program. At syempre, para sa ating mga uniform services, mga barracks, sa Kampagyan, makikita mo, para magkaroon ng tahanan ng ating mga sundalo na nagsisakripisyo para sa atin. TCAS project. So marami, 89 na completed. Next slide, please. And of course, lahat, tourism. Makikita nyo naman po, natapos na po yung first 2 phases ng Boracay Circumferential Road. Yung Pasacao, Balatan Tourism Coastal Road sa Bicol. Yung para sa ating mga industriya, sa Poro Point, isa yan sa mga projects na tinapos natin. May convergence kasama po sa DOTr. Yung ginawa natin mga kalsada, makikita nyo rin po doon, mga port, mga cruise ports. And then of course agriculture, ang ating mga farm to market roads. Marami din po tayong natapos na mga 1,835 kilometers of farm to market roads were completed. So napakalaki, 406 kilometers to the ports, 606 kilometers to the trade corridors, industries, and 2,192 kilometers para suportahan ang ating tourism sector. So doon mo talaga makikita yung accomplishment sa lahat ng sektor, nakakalat sa lahat. Trade, agriculture, tourism. Malaking investment ng gobyerno. Next slide, please. Flood control. Ito mga pictures, yung Pasig Marikina Channel Improvement. Flood risk management sa Tagoloan River. Pati sa Cagayan, meron din kami mga flood control structure sa buong Pilipinas. So meron kaming ginawang master plan sa lahat po ng river basins sa Pilipinas. At yun po ay marami nang natapos at marami pa rin kaming plano na ongoing. Next slide, please. Ito po yung mga Inter-Island Bridge Program. Ito ay the most ambitious program. Ito isa sa the most ambitious program sa history of sa kasaysayan ng DPWH. Ito Pangil Bay Bridge, ito na yung maging pinakamahabang bridge sa buong Pilipinas. Ang pinakamahaba ngayon yung San Monico Bridge. Pero ngayon po, ongoing na po yung Pangil Bay Bridge. So matatapos na rin po. Siguro malaki yung maging accomplishment sa term ni President. Substantial yung accomplishment natin. Yung Samal Island, Davao City Bridge, it's also ready for implementation. Yung Panay Guimaras, Bataan, Cavite, nasa detailed engineering design po kami. Malaking bagay po yan dahil pag nasa detailed engineering design, malapit na po yung procurement. Isang step na lang at may implement na. Kaya malaking trabaho dahil ganitong bridge, malaking bagay yung ganitong bridge dahil napakahaba. 20 to 30 kilometers, among the longest in the world. Kaya medyo mahaba talaga ang planning at malaking investment natin sa mga studies. Kailangan talaga gawin. But I can say na advanced stage na tayo sa planning at malapit na rin matapos lahat yung detailed engineering design. Napaka-challenging pero ipupush pa rin namin. Next slide. Binanggit ko po yung EDSA Decongestion, Metro Manila Logistics. Kasama po itong project, Estrella Pantalon. Nakita nyo na po na open yung Makati-Pasig section ng Kalayaan Bridge, na deliver na. Ito po, by next month, ma-deliver na po itong Estrella Pantalon Bridge. Malapit na rin matapos yung Binondo Intramuros. And of course, marami po tayong mga bridges na ginagawa para mabawasan. Pag natapos po itong bridges, malaking bagay sa EDSA dahil 20% ng traffic sa EDSA at 10% ng C5 ang mawawala pag natapos po itong bridge. So very soon, magkakaroon po ng malaking improvement sa traffic dito sa Metro Manila. Dahil sa Metro Manila Logistics and EDSA Decongestion. Next slide. At meron din kaming master plan. Yung binanggit ko po kanina, kailangan tuloy-tuloy po. Kaya focus po namin magkaroon ng master plan sa buong Pilipinas. In-expand na namin sa Metro Cebu, sa Davao City. Nakita nyo po, ongoing na po yung Davao City Coastal Road at yung Davao City Bypass Road. So sa major metropolitan areas natin, meron na po tayong high standard highway master plan And of course, this is ongoing yung implementation. So next slide, please. Yung Luzon Spine Expressway Network. Ang target po namin dito is to go from north, magkaroon ng linkage, magkaroon ng high-speed expressway from north to south. So ang biyahe dati, pag galing po kayo sa Bicol at pupunta kayo sa norte, kung dati abot ka ng 18 hours, dahil dito magiging 9 hours na lang. Bahagi po nito ang Skyway. Meron din po tayong TPLEX na kumpleto na. Yung CLEX by next month, i-deliver na po yung Central Luzon Link Expressway, yung malaking portion connecting Nueva Ecija to Tarlac. Tapos na po yung NX Harbor Lake. Malapit na rin matapos yung connector. Tapos na yung Skyway Stage 3. Next month, magkakaroon din ng opening, yung bagong section ng Calac. Bubuksan na natin, connecting up to Cavite sa Silang. So, total of 1,101 kilometers of high-speed expressway. 3 times what it was when we came in. More than 3 times. Next slide, please. And finally, nais ko pong i-report yung ginawa natin para sa ating COVID response dahil bilang isolation SAR, may natapos na kaming 688 facilities, 25,200 beds. Nakamonitor po kami sa bed capacity at pag may area na nangangailangan ng additional at napupuno na, maglalagay kami ng mga quarantine centers. So makikita nyo naman po yung ginawa namin, yung iba retrofitted, yung iba standalone, at gumagawa rin kami ng mga modular hospitals. Next slide. Ayun lang po, update sa ating infrastruktura. Asahan nyo naman na tuloy-tuloy po, kahit na nasa gitna tayo ng isang generational event, isang generational pandemic, makikita nyo naman po na hindi naging excuse sa amin ng pandemya. Tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang trabaho at marami tayong mga projects na i-deliver bago matapos ang term ni President Duterte. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Secretary Villar. Moving forward, let's hear updates in the transportation sector from Department of Transportation Secretary Arthur Togade.
Magandang umaga ho sa inyong lahat. Alam niyo ho, nung ang Administrasyon Duterte ay dumating sa Republika ng Pilipinas, meron ho mga problemang ating kinaharap. Krisis dito, krisis doon, major problems here, major problems there. Kaya nga ba't ang unang ginawa ng ating kagawaran ng transportasyon ay tumbukin yung tinatawag na low-hanging fruit. Mahalaga ho na maalala natin at this time after 4 years, na maalala natin kung ano yung estado ng Republika nung pumasok ang tinatawag na Duterte administration. Maalala at maalala ninyo na noong pumasok ang Duterte administration, ang bansag sa tinatawag na NAIA International Airport is one of the worst international airport in the world. Maalala at maalala ninyo na kung pag-uusapan ng NAIA, nandiyan ho yung laglagbala na kung saan mag-aaral, matanda, persons with disability, ang ordinaryong tao, ang turista ay naaantala sa kanilang pagbiyahe dahil sa tinatawag na laglagbala. At higit sa lahat, napaka-importante ho na malaman natin noon ang sabi ng internasyonal, ang Philippines, ang buong Republika ng Pilipinas is not safe in so far as avionics and aerodrome operations are concerned. Bakit ho? Pagkat ma'am, noon 3 radar lang ang nasa Republika ng Pilipinas. Alam at alamin ninyo na tayo ho ay isang archipelago at sasabihin mo, 3 radar lang ang gumagana. Ito ho yung mga bistang masama nung kami pumasok. Ano ho ang nangyari? Ngayon ho, habang nag-uusap tayo, habang nagkakaroon tayo ng dialogo, pwede nating ipagmalaki na yung NAIA International Airport na pinansagan na worst airport ay hindi na ho worst airport. Mataas at ang antas ng kanyang klasifikasyon ngayon. nabibilang ang NAIA sa one of the most improved airport in the world. Alam din ho, naririnig niyo pa ba yung laglag bala? Wala na ho. Kung merong maglalaglag bala dyan sa airport, lalaglagin ko sila. Kaya nga ba't ngayon, smooth ang travel ng ating mga pasahero, mapabata, matanda, senior citizen, persons with disability, foreigners or lokal. Yang issue na laglag bala ay hindi magsisilbing abala sa inyong pagbiyahe. Wala na po yan. Ano naman yung issue na safety? 3 lang ang radar natin ngayon in barely 2 years of the Duterte administration, nagdagdag ho yan ng 10 radar. In other words, in the entire archipelago now, we can feel safe that there are 13 operating radar stations assuring the safety, the punctuality of landing and takeoff, and identity of anything and anything that flies in the Philippine hemisphere. Ito ho, ang mga konting bagay lang na dapat alalanin natin sa ating pagpupulong ngayon. Yan ho yung sa tinatawag na air sector. Ano naman yung ibang issue nun? Ang ibang issue nun, pumunta tayo sa road. Ang sabi nila, ma'am, ang Republika ng Pilipinas ay republikang walang plaka. Ang Republika ng Pilipinas, nung tayo ay nagumpisa, isang maliit na papel, ang tawag doon, license. Noon ho, mag-aantay ka ng plaka, mag-aantay ka ng lisensya, mag-aantay ka ng renewal. Yan ho ang isang low-hanging issue na dapat addressin nung tayo ay pumasok. Ngayon po, as we speak, meron na ho tayong robot na gumagawa ng mga plaka. Meron na ho lisensya na kung pwede mong ipagmalaki na naka-plastic. Ang proseso sa pag-renew ng mga lisensya, mga prangkisa ay automated na. Mabilis. Hindi na ho yung republikang walang plaka. Republikang kaaya-aya na may plaka. Marami rin hong issue sa tinatawag na maritime sector na kung saan pag nagbiyahe, pag bumagyo, madami ang namamatay at hindi natin nalalaman sino yung namatay, ilan ang namatay, problema ang identify natin kung sino at ilan ang namatay. Bakit ho? Ang pangunahing issue dyan, hindi lang ho yung issue ng sasakyan, hindi lang yung kondisyon ng puerto at pantalan, kasama na ho dyan yung tinatawag na pagbenta ng ticket, sumakay at pagbaba, mano-mano. Today as we speak, we have what we call the electronic ticket system. Inuumpisan yan at bago magtapos ang termino ng ating Pangulo, magiging nationwide yan. Wala na hong scalpel. Lahat ho ng sakay will be identified. Wala na hong overloading. Malalaman at malalaman niya. Kanina nabanggit ng ating mahal na kalihim Secretary Vince Dizon na kung ilang programa ang ginagawa sa maritime na humigit na tayo ng 400. Kasama ho dyan yung pagbabago, hindi lang ho ng puerto o pantalan, pagbabago pati na yung uri ng sasakyan na magbabaybay sa karagatan. Nandiyan din po yung problema noon sa traffic sa EDSA, sa kalsada. Nasabi ni Secretary Mark Saya sa EDSA, gusto ko sanang mag-spend pa ng mga oras sa aking anak. Magtulungan tayo upang sa ganon, the smooth flow in EDSA will be addressed so that in addressing it, people that travel at EDSA will have more time with their family. Kanina ho, hindi nabanggit ng aking mahal na kaibigang Secretary Kalihim Mark. May ginawa siyang Skyway 3 kasama ang San Miguel Corporation. Ito ho was a stroke of brilliance and a stroke of magic na kung saan nakatulong sa pag-iwas at pagdaloy ng ating trapiko. Ano ang ginawa ng kagawaran? Nandiyan dyan yung dedicated busway. Nandiyan dyan ho yung sinasabi nating augmentation process and arrangement dito in complementation with the train operation. Nandiyan ho yung pag-create at gagawin natin yun, yung EDSA Greenways. Nandiyan ho yung active transport system na kung saan maisasama ang dalawang bahagi, pagbibisikleta at paglalakad. Alam nyo ba, ma'am, na ang target ng kagawaran ng transportasyon bago matapos ang taon na to, we would have completed more than 560 kilometers, not only in Metro Manila, but it includes Metro Cebu and Metro Davao. Ito ho yung mga low-hanging fruit na ina-address nung tayo'y dumating. Krisis dyan, problema dito. Habang ginagawa natin yung medium-term at long-term projects ng kagawaran, ano ho yung problemang dumating? COVID-19. Pandemya. Madali hong sumuko kami at sabihin, give up na ako. May pandemya naman. Hindi po yan ganyan ang kagawaran ng transportasyon. Hindi po yan ganyan ang administrasyon Duterte. Sumigi at tuloy-tuloy tayo na gawin yung mga infrastruktura notwithstanding and despite the existence of yung tinatawag natin na pandemya at COVID. Kaya nga ba't makikita ninyo na marami na ang mga infrastrukturang nagawa at gagawin pa sa Riles, sa aviation, sa kalsada, at sa maritime. Isa-isahin ho natin bisitahin yung mga programang infrastruktura na ginawa sa iba-ibang sektor sa kagawaran ng transportasyon. Bisitahin ho natin yung aviation. Alam po natin at alam ninyo na natapos na ang dalawang airport na tinataguriang world class. Tourism class, world class, panlaban sa internasyonal. Ito ho yung airport na naumpisahan ng ibang administrasyon pero tinapos ng Duterte administration. Ito ho yung Cebu International Airport. Kung marinig kayo, pumunta kayo doon. Tignan ang inyong Facebook at makikita nyo kung gaano kaganda yung nangyaring paliparan na yan. Hindi ho malalayo yung tinatawag na Panglao International Airport na kung saan nung nagumpisa ang Duterte administration, halos 9% lang on the ground ang natapos. Tinapos po natin ahead of schedule yan. Nabanggit at tinatawag na Clark Terminal 2 na isang major project. Hindi lang ho ng BCD, kundi kasama ang kagawaran ng transportasyon ay i-inauguraten ho natin by July po pa. At i-detalye ko yung mga airport na ating i-inauguraten in the next 2 to 3 months. Pumunta ho tayo sa July 2021, Katarman Airport Rehabilitation to be inaugurated last week of July. Butuan Airport, Malasakit Hall to be inaugurated last week of July. Pumunta ho tayo sa Agosto. Busuanga Airport on the 3rd week of August. Zamboanga Airport full rehabilitation on the last week of August. Hindi ho malalayo ang September. Ang Siquijor Airport on the 2nd week of September will be inaugurated. General Santos Airport, New Bicol International Airport on the last week of September. Alaan nyo lang hong magsalita ako tungkol sa Bicol International Airport. Ilang administrasyon, ilang dekada na inantay ng mga taga Bicol na at least makita at mabuo yung international airport. Ilang groundbreaking ang ginawa dyan. Ilang inauguration, ilang plano, ilang panaginip ang ginawa ng mga taga Bicol. Marami at marami at marami po. The Duterte administration paid attention to that airport. And now I'm ready to say that the Bicol International Airport will be inaugurated in July, and we hope that it becomes operational before the end of this year. Napag-uusapan yung airport sa Bicol at tinatawag na Riles na kung saan magkakaroon na yung tutuban papuntang Bicol. There will be partial operability going to Quezon. San Pablo, Candelaria, ito ho, lahat, babaybayin yan. Naangad ho namin na magkaroon ng partial operability nitong airport ng itong release na to by 2023. Isipin at isipin ninyo na kung meron kang paliparan at meron kang railway station, hindi ho ba napakaganda ang mangyayari sa Bicol? Matagal at kinalimutan at pinabayaan ng DRIP ang Bicol. Yung pabaya at kalimot, mawawala na ho pagkat parating na dyan yung development. Pag-usapan ho natin yung release kung anong ginawa at gagawin natin at tatapusin natin habang nandito yung administrasyon Duterte. Kung sabihin ko ho sa inyo na yung LRT2 na matagal lang nabinbin, ito ho yung ruta na dadaan sa Marikina, Pasig at Antipolo. Ilang taon inantayan. Kung sabihin ko ngayon sa iyo, Secretary Vince, next week, June 22, we will actually inaugurate the actual operation of that portion of tren. Matagal nagantay ang Antipolo, Marikina. Matagal na nagantay ang Pasig. Sir, mga kababayan, next week, inaugurate namin yan para maging fully operational by the following day, June 23rd. Hindi ho nalalayo yung MRT. Lahat tayo siguro naka-experience kahit papano ng problema sa MRT. Lahat tayo nakita natin sa TV, narinig sa radyo, nabasa sa pahayagan na kung saan talagang nung dumating kami, buwisit at buwisit at buwisit talaga yung MRT3. Araw-araw na ginawa ng Diyos. Hinto dito, tirik yan. Kaya nga tinawag yan MRT tirik. Ngayon ho, have you heard of any tirik or tigil ng MRT? Wala po. Pagkat naayos na yung full rehabilitation ng tren, yung power at signaling inaayos. Naayos na rin yung ating mga tinatawag na nga babaybay na kotses. Na kung saan yung dating tumatakbo ng 30 kilometers per hour at best. Regular ho niyan. 22 hanggang 26 kilometers per hour. Tumatakbo ho tayo ngayon yan 60 kilometers per hour with a faster turnaround of 3.5 minutes compared to the 9 and 12 minutes turnaround when we assume. Nakompleto ho namin ang rehabilitation ng release ng tren ng MRT. Way ahead of schedule despite the pandemic and notwithstanding COVID-19. Sabihin ko na rin ho sa inyo na yung common station. Maalala mo ba yung common station noon? Na kung saan nung kami dumating, nagbabakbakan yung mga stakeholders. Kaso dito, kaso dyan hanggang Korte Suprema. Gawa ho natin magkasundo-sundo yung mga stakeholders. At nangyari po yan. Partial operability of the common station, tahimik na ginagawa ng kagawaran, ay mangyayari before the end of this year. Dito ho, magtatagpo-tagpo yung tinatawag natin na subway, yung MRT7, yung LRT2, at yung tinatawag natin na MRT3. Napakaganda hong mangyari ito. Never before has there been a common station. Ang ibig sabihin ng babaybay at maglalakbay ka, hindi ka naalis ng istasyon, dun ka na lang, lilipat ka na lang ng tren. At ngayon, pag-usapan ho natin yung subway, yung Manila subway. Yung Manila subway, hangarin ko ho at gusto kong bigyan katuparan na magkaroon ng partial operability yan sa Valenzuela by the first quarter of next year. Then, you will see the operation there. Why in Valenzuela? Because in Valenzuela, we have the PRI, the Philippine Railway Institute, as we have the depot. Why in Valenzuela? Because yung configuration ng lupa ay naaakma para mapabilis ang trabaho. Kaya nga ba't naniniwala kami na magkakaroon ng partial availability sa Manila subway. Sabihin ko na rin ho sa inyo yung boring machine Nandito na ho yung dalawa. Ito ho yung gagamitin ng sa ganon, yung hukay at boring will be done and will be facilitated so that in due time, the completion of the entire Manila subway will be a reality. In the interest of time, let me jump to maritime. Yung maritime ho, sinabi kanina, ang natapos na ho namin dyan, more than 400 projects. Bakit ho mahalaga na alam natin na ang natapos sa maritime ay 400 projects? Kasi simple lang ho, the Philippines is an archipelago. Mas marami ang tubig, mas marami ang puerto kesa lupa. Kaya nga, na-pay attention yan. I-highlight ko lang sa maritime. Una, alam nyo ba na meron na tayong tinatawag na passenger terminal sa Cagayan de Oro? And partner, do you know the capacity? 3,000 passengers capacity. Never before in the history of the Republic do you have a passenger terminal with that depth and with that magnitude. And soon, mababago yung record na yan bago matapos itong taon na to. Meron tayong terminal, 4,000 passengers. In order to have and attain what we call mobility and connectivity, ginagawa ho yan. Bumaybay at dumaan kayo sa Palawan na kung saan. Alam natin ang Palawan, pang turista lang. Ngayon ho, ang Palawan ay hindi lang pang turista, pang komersyo pa. Nandiyan na yung tinatawag natin na mga cruise ports na itinayo. Kasama ko si Secretary Villar. Nandiyan ho yung tinatawag na puerto na itinayo ko, kasama ko si Secretary Villar. Ang pagbabiyahe sa Palawan hanggang Visayas and Mindanao, mapapalawig at mapapaluwag. Isama mo na dyan yung pagbabiyahe sa Malaysia, Indonesia, Sabah, and the ASEAN. Makikita nyo na ito ho ay mapapalawig. Ang pagbiyahe sa Palawan, hindi lang ho ang turismo, pang komersyo pa. Marami pa ho tayong ginagawa, lalo tigit sa Coast Guard. Siguro never before have we heard the depth of the patriotism commitment in the industry of the men and women of the Philippine Coast Guard. Pag nakarinig ka ng rescue, they are there. Pag nakarinig ka ng relief operation, they are there. Ngayon, maririnig mo yung seguridad sa West Philippine Sea, the Philippine Coast Guard is there. Bakit po? Without meaning to oversimplify the situation, nung nag-assume kami, ilan ang tao sa Philippine Coast Guard? 5,600 thereabouts. Ngayon, as I speak, we have 24,000 men and women wearing the uniform of the Philippine Coast Guard. Kasi alam ko na kung walang taong mag-i-implement, warm bodies na mag-i-implement sa tinatawag na rescue, relief, and security. Pero kung mga tao lang yan, hindi mo makukumpleto sa recados yan. Kaya lagyan mo ng longboat, fastboat, shortboat, helicopter. Lahat ho yan, meron na ngayon. All new equipments. Ito ho yung tinatawag natin na mga kontribusyon at ginagawa ng ating kagawaran sa build. Bago ho ako magtapos. Nagbanggit ho si Secretary Villar na ano yung ginawa niya sa pandemya. Marahil hindi nyo naririnig at sasabihin ko sa inyo kung ano yung ginagawa ng kagawaran sa pandemya. Kung sabihin ko sa inyo na yung aming kagawaran ay merong isolation center sa Taguig, Philippine Coast Guard, more than 100 beds. Sa Orion, Bataan, more than 100 beds. Sa North Harbor, sa Diosdado, Macabagal, more than 200 beds. In other words, yung kagawaran on its own sources, using its own land, using its own facility, using its own fund, some are donated, ay nakakapagtulong through the isolation center. Sabihin ko na rin ho ang dalawang bagay. yung one-stop shop sa airport. Ang nagmamando ho nun ay Philippine Coast Guard kasama yung Office of Transport Security na kung saan 2 months ago, nakaserbisyo na sila ng isang 1 million servicing sa one-stop shop. Ito ho yung mga ginagawa ng kagawaran sa pandemya. Sabihin ko na rin ho yung tinatawag na crew change hub. Nung nagumpisa yung pandemya, wala hong crew change hub. Almost 1-1. Ngayon ho, as we speak, meron ho tayong 6 crew change hub fruits sa buntot, merong efforts sa pandemya. Let me end this talk by talking a little bit financial. Marahil sasabihin nyo ang kagawaran ay pang-transportasyon lang. Kung sabihin ko sa inyo na nagbuhat nung dumating ang kagawaran ng transportasyon during the term of President Duterte, do you know how much the Department of Transportation has remitted to the national coffers? 50 billion, ma'am. 50 billion. Ang top performing company ho natin dyan ay yung Philippine Ports Authority, and listen to this. In the year of 1986 to 2015, for a period of 30 years, PPA has remitted a total of 20 billion for a period of 30 years. Tayo ho, nung dumating, for a period of 5 years, PPA has remitted 17.2 billion. It shows sound fiscal management. It shows good management. Limited ho ba yan sa PPA? Hindi ho. Hindi ho pahuhuli yung Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines na kung saan from a period of 28 to 2016, a period of 9 years, ang rinimit ho is a meager 1.3 billion. Ang narimit ho ng kaap in a period of 4 years is 21.1 billion. Ganyan ho kalaki ang diferensya. Ma'am, wag mo akong tanungin kung bakit ganun ang rinimit nila. Sila ang tanungin mo. Tanungin mo ako kung bakit ganun ang rinimit namin. Sasagutin ko yan. Sound fiscal management and good fund management. Hindi ho malalayo yung NAIA. From 1996 to 2015, for a period of 20 years, ang narimit ho sa kaban ng bayan, 11 billion. Tayo ho, from 2016 to 2019, barely 4 years, ilan ho ang narimit? 13.9 billion. Kung susumahin mo, yung narimit ng kagawaran, mahigit 50 billion in a period of 4 years. Hindi ho ba maganda at kaaya-aya? Today in my presentation, I have attempted to tell you and show you that the Philippines built in relation to the Department of Transportation is not all about addressing infrastructure. It goes beyond that in hoping to make the Filipino life convenient and comfortable. The Transportation Department looks at the low-hanging fruits in order that we can continue and immediately give the Filipino life convenient and comfortable life. We have shown you in the limited time that we are, hindi lang ho kami pang transportasyon, katulong din po kami at katuwang kami sa tinatawag na addressing the COVID pandemic and COVID-19. In other words, pag sinabi kong ang kagawaran ay buo, buo ho talaga kami. Let me just end by saying one small note. Madami hong ginagawa ang Duterte administration, madaming ginagawa si Secretary Villar, at madami rin ginagawa ang Department ng Kagawaran ng Transportasyon. Sa aming paghangad, gagawa at gagawa pa kami, PBB pandemic o wala, kemi COVID-19 o wala, gagawa at gagawa kami. Hinihingiling ko lang sa ating mga kababayan, pag kami nakasucceed, the beauty of our success is not limited to us. It includes you and it includes everybody. Kaya nga ba't hindi ko maintindihan kung bakit magkakaroon ng proyekto, sasabihin nila, hindi nila kayang gawin yan. Bakit pinapabaunan nyo kami ng agam-agam? Hindi ba dapat lang na kung may kapakinabangan ang kabuuang Pilipinas, hindi ba sabihin natin, Lord, tulungan nyo ho si Mark Villar. Lord, tulungan nyo ho yung kagawaran ng transportasyon. Nang sa ganon, matapos yung mga proyekto because Lord, pakikinabangan ho yan ng buong sambayanan. Hiling ko, malapit na ho yung oras namin sa termino ng ating Pangulo Presidente, Mayor Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Hahabol ho kami ng gawain. Pakiusap. Bigyan nyo kami ng tiwala. Pabaunan nyo kami ng dasal. Pag kami nagsaksid, kayo din ho ay magiging happy. Kung kami nagsaksid at kayo ay magiging happy, everybody happy. Sa inyong lahat, good morning.
Thank you, Secretary Tugade. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now proceed to the question and answer session with the media. National Economic and Development Authority Secretary Carl Kendrick Chua is now joining us via Zoom. Good morning, Secretary Chua.
Good morning. Can you
For
hear me?
media, yes, sir, we can hear you. For media, logged in via Zoom, you may send in your questions through the Q&A button. For our media on site, you may ask your questions from the floor. Kindly wait for the moderator to call you. State your name and media affiliation before asking your question. For our first question from Philippine Information Agency for Secretary Tugade, as far as DOTr is concerned, how do we plan to further improve the service of the EDSA busway? Are we going to add more stops and bus units?
Yes, ma'am. Let me put the question in perspective. I think that question is triggered by the incident that happened last Friday, na kung saan nagkaroon ng congestion sa EDSA subway, na kung saan nakita natin ang 4 na kadahilanan kung bakit nagkaroon ng congestion. Una ho, umulan ng napakalakas. Alam mo ba na yung total ridership sa EDSA busway ngayon, yung figure na binigay sa akin is 180,000. Mas malaki pa yan sa ridership sa MRT at sa LRT2. So, yan ang mga kahulugan. Pangalawa, tama siya. Kulang ang bus. Magdadagdag po ba? Yes. Nagpa-issue na ako ng mga special permit. Rinipaso at binago ko yung proseso na kung saan pag kailangan papasok at papasok na lang yung mga bus. Dadagdagan ba yung tinatawag na stopping areas? Kasi lahat concentrated sa isa. Ngayon, magkakarga na sila sa 4 na lugar at i-extend mo yun. Dadagdagan din mo yun. Ngayon, dun sa sinabi kong dato kanina, ngayong ridership ng busway is 180,000. You know the reason, ma'am? Libre. Ang MRT may bayad. Gusto siyempre ng mga tao pumunta sa libre. Ngayon, meron ho ba kami pinag-iisipin dyan? Oho, ang option na pinag-iisipan namin dyan, either singilin mo na sila, which I'm not inclined to do, or palawikin mo yung modes of transportation na kung saan magkakaroon ng free or libreng sakay. I hope I have answered the question.
Thank you very much, Secretary Tugade. From Daily Tribune, for DOTr again, kamusta na po ang ating bike lanes in Metro Manila? Ilang kilometro na po ang natatapos?
Marami na. In fact, talagang sige-sige lang. Meron akong kodigo dito. Sandali ha. Kulang. Sa Metro Manila, meron na ho tayong 310 kilometers out of 338. Sa Metro Davao, meron na ho tayong 53.81 kilometers out of 54 kilometers. 109 kilometers sa Metro Cebu out of 129. Hangarin po namin, bago matapos itong taon na to, maximum, December, makatapos ho kami ng mga 560 kilometers. Nakikita mo, with the cooperation of the Department of Public Works supporting us in the infrastructure, with the enlightened enforcement of MMDA supporting us with enforcement, naniniwala ho ako na matatapos namin yung 560 kilometers efficient bike lane, not only in Metro Manila, but also in Metro Davao and Metro Cebu.
Thank you very much, Secretary Tugade. For Secretary Villar from Manila Bulletin, what projects do we expect to be completed within the year, sir?
Marami po. In fact, in this by July, madideliver na po yung Central Luzon Link Expressway. Also, pati yung extension ng Calax hanggang Silang, malapit na rin by next month. Itong bridge na to by this month. And by the end of the year, makikita na natin yung full extension ng BGC Bridge. At marami po tayong mga proyekto sa probinsya. The other day, galing po ako sa Bicol at in-inaugurate ko yung mga bypass roads natin sa Bicol. At pati yung dito sa North, sa San Fernando Bypass. So marami po. Sunod-sunod na po yung mga projects natin at malaki yung maging improvement in this year.
Thank you very much, Secretary Villar. Question for BCDA from Andreo Calonso of Bloomberg News. How would you assess the government's earlier decision to prioritize ODA or government-funded projects? Did these projects indeed turn out to be faster than PPPs as earlier expected?
You know, I think the reason for prioritizing ODA over PPP in the beginning was because of two things. The first one is there was cheaper financing available. No, and there continues to be cheaper financing available through ODA because of the very high credit ratings of the country. And I think that was a good decision because that fiscal prudence allowed us to build up our reserves, which in turn proved very, very beneficial when the COVID-19 pandemic hit last year. No, so that's number one. Number two, I think the ODA projects have proven to be quite fast. There are two, and Secretary Tugade can talk more about this. The Manila to Clark Railway, purely ODA with JICA and ADB. Ngayon, nakita nyo, nakatayo na yung mga infrastructure dyan sa Malolos to Tutuban. And nakita ko na yung mga simula ng trabaho sa Clark side. No? And of course, the Metro Manila Subway, which has already started, no, which everybody thought was not going to happen. No. However, in fairness, there are several PPP projects that have been done. And one that is already completed is the Clark International Airport. And another one that was completed was the Skyway Stage 3. That's also PPP. No? So we need to balance. No? And the principle of the Duterte government was not more ODA, more PPP, but was really to balance the projects in order to ensure that government is protected in the long term, medium and long term, and projects get implemented quickly, which I think we've struck that balance, and it shows in the projects that have been presented today by DOTr and DWPH.
Thank you very much, Secretary Vince. From Bruce Rodriguez of ABS-CBN News for all the cabinet secretaries, with the year of the current administration approaching, how would you rate the overall progress of the Build program on a scale of 1 to 100? Why did you give this rating? Sir, i-rate yung Build from 1 to 100.
You know, I'm sorry. I'm not the kind of person that likes to rate No, I don't want to say, give a grade. No, what I want to do and what we try to do here is show you the facts and show you what has been completed, what will be completed by 2022, and what we are going to pass on to the next administration as pipeline projects. I don't want to rate anybody here, but I do want to show you facts. And as they say, facts speak for themselves.
I am the kind of person that sometimes rate. But when I rate, I do not give high ratings. So that if we put it up front, i-rate ko yung nagawa namin siguro mga 70%. Remember, I am not that kind of person who rates high. Talagang, pero kailangan mag-rate. 70%.
Ako, para sa akin, kung magbibigay po ako ng rating, sa akin lang, hindi naman ito para para sa mga secretaries, pero importante lang sa akin na I-acknowledge natin yung mga nagtatrabaho dito sa Build. Yung 6.5 million Filipinos na nagtatrabaho, yung mga construction workers, yung ating mga inhinyero na walang tigil ang pagtatrabaho nila. Marami din sa amin nagkakasakit, marami din na nakakaproblema dahil sa COVID, pero tuloy-tuloy po ang trabaho nila. So to those who comprise this Build program, the millions of workers every day, job well done for this Build. So yun ang grade ko sa kanila.
Thank you very much, sir. For DOTr, RJ Balindin of Business World, any update on the Bulacan Airport project? When will the groundbreaking happen?
Alam mo, maski wala pang groundbreaking, ano na yung ginagawa ng Mr. Ramon Ang sa Bulacan Airport. Siya ho ay tahimik na nagki-clearing. Siya ho ay tahimik na nag-dredging. Siya ho ay tahimik na nag-moving out at tahimik na nagkukuha ng right of way. At the same time, while Mr. Ramon Ang does all these things, in the quiet of his heart, ina-arrange niya yung financing. Kailan magagawa yung groundbreaking? Gustong-gusto ko rin itulak yan. Pero mahalaga yung alam natin na may ginagawa ang San Miguel at Ramon Ang. Wala ho akong rason o dahilan na pagdudahan na yung groundbreaking magagawa yan in the next 45 to 60 days.
Thank you very much, Secretary Art. From Reuters, Karen Lema, were there China-funded projects that were removed from the original list? How many and why were they removed from the list? For Secretary Vince.
Sorry, which ones?
China-funded projects.
Well, not just China projects, but there were several projects that were removed from the list, primarily because of the pandemic that hit us. We really have to be more prudent about how we finance and what we finance. And the NEDA, and maybe Secretary Carl Chua can talk more about this, found it more prudent to set aside these projects for now, in the interest of fiscal prudence. No, as you know, our pre-COVID, our debt to GDP was at 40+%. But because of the impact of COVID-19, now we're up to about 55%. No, so we have to be more prudent. We have to be wise with our spending. Plus, we have to spend on so many things to protect our people from the pandemic, primarily vaccines, and also all the social assistance that we are providing our people who have unfortunately have lost their jobs and have been really affected by the pandemic. So it is part of prudent fiscal management. So that's why some projects were set aside, but they are still important for the future. And we hope and we pray that the next administrations will consider pursuing these projects because they are very, very important.
Thank you very much, Secretary Vince. Another question from Karen. How many China-funded projects that were part of the original list of 75 flagship infra projects were included in the updated list of 100 projects. How many of these projects have broken ground?
We'll give you a list so that we make sure that they are all there. But this one is a grant project. It is part of the Build program. The Binondo Intramuros Bridge is part of the Build program. They will all be completed in the next few weeks and in the next months. Kaliwa Dam is part of it. It will ground break already, I think, in a month's time. So there are many projects that we have worked with China on, and we are very thankful to the Chinese government. But we are equally thankful to all the other countries who have really stepped up and helped us out in the Build program. Japan has helped us out tremendously. South Korea has helped us out tremendously, and many other countries. And I think this is a testament to our president's very solid foreign policy, which is friends to all, enemies to none, and all our friends have delivered. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Secretary Carl, would you have anything to add, sir?
Let me just say that we have accomplished a lot of our build projects. Nowhere in our history did we exceed 5% of GDP. 10 years ago, that was our aspired goal. We could not even reach more than 2% of GDP. In the last 3 years, we have programmed, except for 2020 because of COVID, more than 1 trillion pesos of build projects, whether they are the flagship projects or the regular ones. And we continue to maintain this trend even to next year. And we have a strong pipeline to ensure that the next administration will have a very good starting point to build on the progress we have so far. So we will continue to welcome all possible financing options. In NEDA ICC, we do value for money analysis so that we can find the best option to deliver an infrastructure project with the people's comfort and benefit in mind. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretary Carl. Question from Rex Remiso of CNN Philippines. Do you think the administration was able to achieve its vision of a golden age of infrastructure for the country?
You know, when we started, and I will go back to 2016 when the president won, his goal was simple, and he won because of this. He was very angry at how the daily lives of Filipinos were reaching a point where it was unbearable. No, hirap na hirap yung mga tao sa pang-araw-araw nilang pamumuhay. Kasama na dyan ang security and safety ng buhay nila dahil sa drugs. And one of the things that he told us, and I remember this very, very vividly, was, sinabihan niya si Sec Art at si Sec Mark, alam nyo, pag ginawain nyo lang yung buhay ng tao, kahit konti lang, no, and this is where build came from. And I think 5 years down the road, unprecedented in our history, nakita natin lahat ng mga infrastructure projects na to, na kahit papano, napaginhawa na ng konti yung buhay ng mga kababayan natin. Ngayon, tapos na ba tayo sa Duterte administration? Hindi pa. Ang dami pa natin kailangan gawin. So yun ang sinasabi ni Sec Mark, ni Sec Art, ni Sec Carl, na kailangan ito tuloy-tuloy. There is no one administration that can complete all these projects. You cannot imagine the complexity and the difficulty of infrastructure projects, especially airports, seaports, bridges, especially inter-island bridges, the ones that were shown by Sec Mark. So our message to the public is, nasimulan to ni Pangulong Duterte, nasimulan ni Sec Mark, ni Sec Art, kailangan to tuloy-tuloy lang. Huwag titigil. Maybe Sec Art and Sec Mark wanna add to that.
Nakita niyo naman po yung presentation kanina, yung mga numero, kung ilan ang nagawa ng Duterte administration, kung gaano karami ang natapos na infrastruktura, at malayong-malayo. The numbers will speak for themselves. And pati yung improvements. Nung nagsimula kami, sinabi na binanggit yung EDSA na tatapusin natin traffic sa EDSA. Ngayon po, halos dumoble na ang bilis ng takbo ng daloy ng traffic sa EDSA. At lalong bibilis po dahil mag-deliver pa tayo ng additional bridges sa Pasig. Isang halimbawa lang yan. Marami pa tayong projects nationwide. At para sa akin, I think, naniniwala po ako na nag-deliver talaga si Presidente. And despite the most challenging pandemic siguro sa kasaysayan ng ating bansa, ito na yung pinaka challenging. Despite that, na-accomplish pa rin ng Duterte administration ang goals natin.
Kung titignan mo at ikukumpira mo yung ginawa ng Duterte administration sa 4 na taon, saka yung mga konstruksyon at infrastruktura na ginawa, figure for figure, performance for performance, accomplishment for accomplishment. Makikita mo sa katanungan, have we achieved or have we reached the golden age of infrastructure? Siguro naman because of the improvement, pwedeng masasabi na nalagay na sa pedestal ng performance ng ating Pangulo, ng Duterte administration, yung paggawa patungo sa tinatawag na golden age of infrastructure. Narinig niyo yung sinabi ni Secretary Villar. Salarang narinig niyo din yung sinabi ko. These are concrete facts. Never before have there been so many airports constructed and renovated. Never before has there been so many ports constructed and renovated in a period of 6 years. Never before have there been massive constructions in the rail system for a period of 4 years. Ikumpira mo yan yung mga ginawa nung nakaraan. Siguro naman kaibigan, pwedeng sabihin dahil lang sa administrasyon ni President Duterte, patungo tayo sa golden age of infrastructure. Kailangan lang, pareho ng sinabi ni Secretary Vince, merong tuloy-tuloy. Kailangan yung mga susunod, ituloy-tuloy. Salamat.
Thank you very much, sir. For Secretary Carl, why are we investing more money for infrastructure projects amid the pandemic? What is the importance of intensifying infrastructure investments to economic recovery?
Well, first of all, we are investing in a wide range of infrastructure projects. They are not only roads or airports, but also health facilities, also digital infrastructure. One of them is the national ID. All of these are needed during this pandemic and our move to the new normal. We are also investing on water, flood control. These things are very important, especially during a pandemic or a new normal, where people need to have better access to water or sanitation. So that is why we are offering you a package of investment. Now, the second reason is this has the biggest multiplier in terms of jobs. One job that you create in the infrastructure sector creates another 0.5 jobs. Every peso you spend in construction creates another peso because of the services around the construction. So that is why we are pursuing this. Now, if you look at the budget, we also have an equally strong program for social services. So we have to look at it from that bigger perspective. So not only infra, but also other investments for the people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretary Carl. From Ben De Vera of Inquirer, in the updated 119 IFPs, how many are funded by ODA, PPPs, and national budget or locally financed? How much were the total project costs per financing mode? Sec Carl?
Okay, the updated is 112 as I understand. And we can provide a list in the NEDA website immediately after, but I am looking at some initial tables. We really have a mix of locally funded ODA and PPPs, but we'll upload it immediately in the NEDA website, the details.
We would like to open the floor to media present in the venue if you want to ask questions. If none, we have more questions sent via SMS. For Secretary Tugade, please tell us more about the condotel that will be constructed for Filipino seafarers.
I think the questioner is asking about the condotel project, which was a subject of a memorandum of understanding signed and executed yesterday on the occasion of the 47th anniversary of Marina. Ano ho ito? Ito ho ay isang agreement amongst yung tinatawag natin na PPA. Nag-donate ho ng land dyan, 1,100 square meters. Nandiyan din ho yung Marino Party List sa pangunguna ni Congressman Gonzales. Nandiyan yung AMUSUP na i-represent ng ating kaibigan si Dr. Conrado Oca. Ito ho, nakasundo-sundo sila na magpatayo ng condotel. Ito ho'y magiging silbi ng tirahan ng mga seafarers, mga marinero, kung sila ay nangangailangan ng daungan dito sa Metro Manila. Isa lang ito sa mga condotel na nandito ngayon. Marami mga project ang AMUSUP para sa kanilang mga seafarers at kung sino-sino pa. Sana ho, itong proyektong ito will go beyond the Memorandum of Understanding. Sana ho, ma-finalize yung plano at sana po mag-start ng construction before the construction ban because of the forthcoming election.
Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. Thank you very much, Secretary Vince, Secretary Art, Secretary Mark, and Secretary Carl. This concludes our presentation.
That concludes our press conference. We will now begin a brief site inspection of the Estrella Pantaleon Bridge. May we remind everyone to follow health and safety protocols by wearing your mask and face shield properly and to maintain social distancing. May we request our principals to proceed to the site inspection area. Kindly follow the lead of the DWPH staff who will guide you to the area. Leading the inspection are Secretary Mark Villar of the Department of Public Works and Highways, Secretary Arthur Tugade of the Department of Transportation, Secretary Vince Dizon, Presidential Advisor on Flagship Programs and Projects, and President and CEO of the Business Conversion and Development Authority. The Estrella Pantaleon Bridge is a 506.46-meter bridge that connects Estrella Street in Makati City and Barangka Drive in Mandaluyong City. This is a 1.46 billion peso project grant by the People's Republic of China. Construction started on August 20, 2018 and is targeted to open by July 2021. As of June 9, the bridge is already 92.25% completed. From the old two-way steel truss bridge with single lane per direction, the new Estrella Pantaleon Bridge will soon be able to accommodate 50,000 vehicles per day and will help decongest 20% of EDSA's traffic with its four-lane pre-stressed concrete rigid frame bridge.